Oh, whoops. I accidentally have it set to metaphor. Oh no, it's set to a game. I'm not playing metaphor. Okay, that's the best I'm gonna get. I have it set to others. My bad, everyone on TikTok. I did not mean to do that. Okay, stream ends in 2 hours. And, okay, so today we're doing stenography practice again. I paused the music. I should start the music back up. And check my audio on TikTok. Start the captions. Okay, checking the audio now. All right, audio is fine. I did not mean to go live as gaming. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to do that. And there's no way for me to change it. Let me investigate once more. Yeah, it does not look like I can change it from gaming. People are gonna be so confused, seeing that it says other games. In reality, I'm not playing a video game. Doing stenography practice. Okay. So, it's stenography practice today. First thing is I'm going to do some finger drills. Oh, I haven't done this before. Try that again. Next up, okay, SKWROSPWA. Hello, Ian Pox. How are you doing today? What is this? This is stenography. I'm just doing finger drills right now, but I'm planning on doing a textbook practice, which is just me copying all the text from a textbook, and then I'm gonna be writing to an audiobook. Stenography is when you use a form of shorthand to take down dictation. So it can be pen, machine, or voice. Voice meaning microphone. I have a machine, so I'm doing machine shorthand. I'm doing finger drills right now to prep myself for the rest of the stream. They're pretty difficult. APWHRO. This one's hard for me to wrap my head around. I'm going so slow. I have the music set so that it's not too loud. Last time I streamed myself doing Steno Jig practice, I didn't have any music on at all. I felt like it was really boring because of it. That was 49 strokes per minute. Damn. That one was tough. These ones are really difficult. "60 strokes per minute. Pretty bad. "83 is better than before. PWRO. SPWA. "56. I'm having such a hard time with these. $55? $50 strokes. Okay, this is the start of section 5. I think I'm gonna stop with the... I didn't do the right hand, though. Let's see, is that the right hand? It looks like it. Let me try that again. $105. That's better than I've been getting on my left hand. This one should be better. $170. $128. $69 strokes per minute. ULD-PT. Okay, 74. Odd. 84. I'm only on number 8. $63. $110. Whoops. URGS, UFD. $95. Let me try that again. $125. $125 strokes per minute. $69. The difficulty has risen. Geez, 46. Okay, got 3 more left. Okay, next one. This one. Next one left. And I'm gonna do quotes for a little bit. Come on. URGS, UFT. Okay, first, I'm going to do the 100 most common words. Add my dictionaries back in. Oops. That was 97 words per minute. I think I can do better. '94 again. 110 this time. I'm content with that. Okay, how about 25 to 125? $110 again. 50 to 150. $106. $116. Okay, last. Those. I'm doing 100 to 200. $120. All right, I'm gonna do quotes now. Need water. things we lose have a way of coming back. Oh wait, never mind. Harry Potter, no. I haven't understood a bar of music in my life, but I have felt it. $139. The mystery of human existence lies not in just staying alive, but in finding something to live for. 130. You may have done some bad things, but that doesn't mean you're a bad kid. You may have done some bad things, but that doesn't mean you're a bad kid. Where is the lookup? Right here. Always forget, doesn't. That's 145 words per minute. This is the only weapon in the war against reality. Imagination. Don't be pushed around by the fears in your mind. Be led by the dreams in your heart. Try that again. Don't be pushed around by the fears in your mind. Be led by the dreams in your heart. 147. You only live once, but if you do it right, once is enough. 164. Okay, move on to the next one. One must be a fox to recognize traps, a lion to fight off wolves. One must be a fox to recognize traps and a lion to fight off wolves. I'll be fine. I'll be waiting, patient, until you see the signs and come running to my open arms. $130. You show me a pay stub for $72,000. I quit my job right now and work for you. 88 words per minute. It's easy not to abuse your power when you don't actually have any power. Live as if you were to die tomorrow. Learn as if you were to live forever. This is a modern fairy tale. No happy endings, no wind in our sails. In the midst of friends, home, and kind parents, she was alone. Oh, we could be the stars falling from the sky, shining how we want, brighter than the sun. 147. 1 and 1 and 1 is 3. Can I get faster on that? 170. Good enough. $188. Cool. Speed. I am speed. 1 winner. 42 losers. I eat losers for breakfast. Putting more makeup on the mask that we wear. Turning the night lights on in the daytime to scare. I've never felt this healthy before. I've never wanted something rational. I don't want to live someone. How do I write someone else again? There are 4 ways to write it. I like SPH asterisk PBLS the best. Okay, I'm just gonna move on. Magic causes as much trouble as it cures. Causes as much trouble as it cures. They told me that you had gone totally insane and that your methods were unsound. You're not a drop in the ocean, nor the entire ocean in a drop. 456. I don't think I've ever been to an appointment in my life where I wanted the other guy to show up. Let's just move on. There were to be something non-empty. There would then be something called empty. You will never be able to love anybody else until you love yourself. I don't like quotes like that. Some people are like clouds. When they disappear, it's a beautiful day. You are willing to die, you coward, but not to live. She had waited all her life for something, and it had killed her when it found her. 154. Everybody thinks they are protecting and defending their people, but we are all people, right? You don't need a weatherman to know which way the wind blows. I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work. All children have to be deceived if they are to grow up without trauma. 168. You have only one life, make the most of it. 170. You have the power to heal your life, and you need to know that. $181. Under 2. Don't want to do anything with quotes in it or hyphens. I am he, as you are he, as you are me, and we are all together. 69 words per minute. If you only do what you can do, you will never be more than who you are now. 158. Okay, after this one, I'm going to switch over to the legal terminology textbook. All right. Textbook. There, I've just adjusted everything. Sorry, I'm thirsty today. Principal criminal categories. Categories. Crimes are divided into 3 principal groups: treason, felonies, and misdemeanors. Misdemeanors. Under the common law of England, treason was divided into high treason, acts against one's master or lord, such a division, wrote that wrong, into high treason and petite treason. Such a division was never followed in America. However, instead, treason is defined in the U.S. Constitution as levying war against the United States or giving aid and comfort to a nation's, all right, enemy again. And the charge of treason has been brought only a few dozen times in U.S. history. The first treason charge since the end of World War II era was brought in 2006 against Adam Gadon, a California man who appeared in propaganda videos for Al-Qaeda. Must be in the dictionary. It's not. Okay. During the war on terrorism, at the time of the treason indictment, Gadon's whereabouts were unknown, and in 2015, he was killed by a drone strike in Pakistan. Felonies and misdemeanors. A felony is a major crime, although its exact definition differs from state to state. It is defined in some states as, quote, punishment by hard labor, end quote, and in others as, quote, an infamous crime, end quote, or a crime subject to, quote, infamous punishment, end quote. A misdemeanor, conversely, is a less serious crime than a felony. Many states distinguish between a felony and a misdemeanor by the length of incarceration, confinement, involved in the sentence. For example, in Massachusetts, a crime punishable by death or imprisonment in the state prison is a felony. All other crimes are misdemeanors. In that state, the minimum sentence in a state prison is 2 1/2 years. Many states have classified felonies and misdemeanors according to punishment by using a lettering or numbering system. A Class A felony, for example, would have a different punishment from a Class B felony. Murder, armed robbery, and assault with a deadly weapon are examples of felonies. Misdemeanors call for a lighter penalty, such as a fine or jail sentence in a place other than a state prison. Disturbing the peace, simple assault, and petty larceny are examples of misdemeanors. Accomplices. The crime of conspiracy is when two or more people agree to commit an unlawful act. A conspiracy exists even when the crime or unlawful act that was agreed upon is never carried out. In some states, proof of an agreement between the parties to commit a criminal or unlawful act is all that is necessary to convict the parties of conspiracy. In many states, however, to obtain a conviction, it is necessary to prove, in addition, that the parties took some action toward the commission of the crime or unlawful act. Anyone who takes part with another in the commission of a crime is called an accomplice. Principal in the first degree. A principal in the first degree is a person who commits a felony either by his or her own hand or through an innocent agent. A principal in the first degree is the one, for instance, who pulls the trigger or strikes the blow. One who intentionally places poison in a glass, for example, would be considered a principal in the first degree, even if the glass containing the poison was delivered to the victim by an innocent third person. Principal in the second degree. A principal in the second degree is one who did not commit the act, but who was actually or constructively present, aiding and abetting another in the commission of a felony. Aiding and abetting means participating in the crime by giving assistance or encouragement. One who was positioned outside as a lookout, for example, while his or her companions are inside committing burglary, would be considered constructively present, that is, made present by legal interpretation. In a Nevada case, well over 100 years ago, a lookout stationed miles away sent a smoke signal to fellow robbers, signaling that a stagecoach was coming. The court found the lookout guilty as a principal in the second degree, holding that the lookout constructively present even though he was miles away from the scene of the crime. At common law, and in many states today, a principal in the second degree is subject to the same punishment as that given to a principal in the first degree. Accessory before the fact. An accessory before the fact is one who procures, counsels, or commands another to commit a felony, but who is not present when the felony is committed. Mere knowledge that a crime is going to be committed by another person is not enough to become an accessory before the fact to the crime that is subsequently committed by the other person, however. It must be shown that the accessory before the fact was active in inducing or bringing about the felony. Let me drink some more water. An accessory before the fact will be responsible for the natural and probable consequences that ensue from the crime that he or she induced, but not for a crime of a substantially different nature. This is known as the Pinkerton doctrine, coming from a Supreme Court case in 1946. Thus, if one person procures another to beat someone up and the beating results in death, the one who arranged for the beating would be accessory before the fact to the killing, because death is a natural and probable consequence of beating someone up. Conversely, in the situation in which one person hires a man to beat up a woman, I'm not going to read that. Let's just move on. Some states view a person who hires another to commit a crime as a principal in the first degree rather than an accessory before the fact, because hiring a, quote, hitman, end quote, makes one equally as guilty of the crime as if the hiring party had committed it. Some states still follow the common law rule that an accessory before the fact cannot be tried in court until a principal is first convicted. Many states' criminal codes, however, now state that an accessory before the fact may be tried without regard to the principal and may be found guilty even though the principal is acquitted. Ad break is starting soon. 20 seconds. Accessory after the fact. An accessory after the fact is one who receives, relieves, comforts, or assists another with knowledge that the other person has committed a felony. To be convicted of being an accessory after the fact, a felony must have been committed by another person, and the accessory after the fact must intend that that person avoid or escape detention, arrest, trial, or punishment. All right, Ad break has just started. I'm gonna finish up this chapter and then I'm gonna move on to the audiobook. The audiobook is Bury Your Gaze by Chuck Tingle. I'm currently in the middle of chapter 2. I should be a lot further along, but I've been neglecting to do audiobook practice. I wonder what TikTok means when it says that inactivity has been detected during my live, because I'm obviously talking and there's music playing in the background. Okay. Ad break is about to end. Okay, ad break has ended. Historically, under the common law, a wife could not be guilty as an accessory after the fact under the theory that she was under her husband's control and the assumption that he was the principal. Modern statutes have extended that exception, although for a different reason, to include close relatives as well. The reason is that it would be natural for spouses and close relatives to protect their loved ones who were in trouble with the law. Vermont and Massachusetts, for example, do not allow a criminal's spouse, parent, grandparent, child, grandchild, or brother or sister to be convicted of being an accessory after the fact to the criminal. Indiana, however, limits the family protection for assisting a criminal. Hi, Patrick. To the perpetrators. I'll go stenography. It's going. I think I'm going pretty fast. Perpetrator. Perpetrators, parent, child, or spouse. For example, If a mother harbors her son from the police after knowing he has committed a felony, she would not be charged as an accessory after the fact. However, under a different fact pattern, she could be guilty as a conspirator. Conspirator with him. Conspirator, how do I write that? Conspirator. How are you doing today, Patrick? I am running out of water. Good thing I always have 2 water bottles. How long is this chapter? Oh, okay. Only got 3 more pages left. You're doing great today, honestly? That's awesome! I'm doing pretty good, too. It's just a little hot in here. Charge or civil lawsuit is known as a defense. Some common criminal defenses are alibi, entrapment, insanity, and self-defense. Alibi is a defense that places the defendant in a different place than the crime scene so that it would have been impossible to commit the crime. Entrapment may be used as a defense when a police officer induces a person to commit a crime that the person would not have committed otherwise and would not be predisposed to commit as demonstrated by the person's lack of criminal history. Insanity is a wide-ranging defense and one which is tied to the specific criminal insanity standard of the defendant's jurisdiction. How do I write essentially? Okay. Essentially, insanity is available to the mentally ill defendants who can prove that at the time of their crimes, they did not know the difference between right and wrong or did not appreciate the criminality of their conduct. Self-defense is a justification for the use of force that is unreasonably necessary to stop the attack. Oh, wait. I did that wrong. Self-defense is a justification for the use of force in resisting an unlawful imminent attack. Those claiming self-defense may use no more force than is reasonably necessary to stop the attack. Some states require someone claiming self-defense to have first attempted retreat from the imminent attack, if reasonably possible, except when that person is in his or her own home. One defense that rarely ever works, assuming it is allowed in a jurisdiction, is a defense of intoxication. This defense is based on the idea that someone might be unable to form the mens rea. How do I write mens rea? The mens rea to commit a crime if he or she is so intoxicated, which would include being under the influence of drugs as well. Involuntary intoxication can be a defense, but in most jurisdictions, there is no defense allowed to those who voluntarily take drugs or drink alcohol before committing crimes. I didn't know that intoxication could be a defense. Constitutional protections for defendants. The U.S. Constitution provides broad protection for criminal defendants. For example, under the Fourth Amendment, a search warrant, a written order of the court authorizing law enforcement officers to search and seize certain property must generally be obtained before officers may enter private property without permission. A search warrant is not needed to seize items that are in plain view of a lawfully positioned police officer. Under the plain view doctrine. Likewise, a search warrant is not needed in exigent circumstances, such as the hot pursuit doctrine, which is at issue when police pursue a fleeing suspect into a private area, and such flight puts others' safety at risk. Similarly, under the stop and frisk rule, a police officer who reasonably believes a person is acting suspiciously and could be armed may stop and frisk the suspect for weapons without a search warrant. Stop and frisk policies have come under scrutiny as at least one U.S. district court concluded New York City's stop and frisk actions to be unconstitutional. The case is still ongoing as of this writing. Police officers have limited rights to frisk someone who has been arrested. Police officers are also allowed to stop and search a motor vehicle, that's a motorcycle, motor vehicle and to order all passengers out of the vehicle, but only when they have probable cause to do so. Probable cause is a reasonable belief based on the then available facts that a crime has been committed or that evidence of criminality exists. Illegal profiling may also be used as a defense. Illegal profiling is a law enforcement action such as a detention or arrest based solely on race, religion, national origin, ethnicity, gender, or sexual orientation of the person being charged, rather than on that person's behavior or on information identifying the person as having engaged in criminal activity. There. Under the exclusionary rule, a doctrine created by the U.S. Supreme Court evidence obtained during an unconstitutional obtained by an unconstitutional search or seizure cannot be used at the trial of a defendant. Similarly, under the fruit of the poisonous tree doctrine, evidence derived from an illegal search is inadmissible. Thus, law enforcement officers could not use as evidence illegal weapons found in a building that they had unlawfully searched while looking for illicit drugs. The good faith exception to the exclusionary rule makes admissible any evidence discovered by unlawful searches by officers acting in good faith, parentheses, sincere, but in the mistaken belief that the search was valid. Okay, I think this is the last page. Yes, this is the last page. Cyber crimes. Cyber law. The area of law that concerns the use of the internet and related networks is a term that has recently come into common usage. Cyber crimes _alpha_Patrick just yeehaw. Thank you for the yeehaw. I just took the opportunity to drink some water. I didn't realize how dry my mouth was. Cyber crimes, criminal activity associated with a computer network include such crimes as spamming, hacking, computer fraud, identity theft, stalking, blackmail, and cyber terrorism. For instance, drug trafficking, how do I write trafficking? Oh, my bad. I got it. Did you see that there are 3 sides to the weird root of Chapter 5 of Deltarune? There are? I completed the weird root 2 times because I thought I did it wrong the first time. So I'm surprised that there's something new in it. I even Googled it and I didn't find anything. Drug trafficking is a criminal activity that now includes operating an illegal online pharmacy. The first federal legislation to respond to the increase of computer crime was the 1986 Computer Fraud and Abuse Act. Hello, so-called poet. Thank you for the like and the repost and sharing the live. I appreciate that. Sorry if I sound out of breath. I'm like talking really fast. And it is causing me to go out of breath. Which predated the internet. I just found out too, but it's easy to get fooled. Yeah, definitely easy. You're welcome and no problem. Awesome. Predated the internet. At least what we think of as the World Wide Web. Parentheses. So many criminal acts are committed through the use of computers and the internet that the Computer Fraud and Abuse Act has been amended at least 7 times, including through the USA Patriot. How do I write Patriot? Patriot. Okay, Patriot Act, passed after 9/11. Okay, that's it. Let me just go to the next chapter. Crimes against property. Okay, now we have the audiobook. Let me just take a quick break for 4 minutes. I am in the middle of chapter 2. It's a flashback to 1996 when the main character was a child. Love the new layout. Yeah, this is my stenography layout. The other layout that I use is for video games. Looks awesome, thank you. I tried my best to lay everything out so that it's easy to see, including vertically. I've got the SVG Steno layout display. up above next to the words per minute meter and the lookup window. And then I have the suggestions plugin. I have Notepad++. And then in the upper left corner, that's just the browser. I have it set for 4 different windows. One of them is for Steno Jig. The other one is for the textbook. The other one is for the one that's up there in the corner right now is for Libby. And then the other one that I don't have currently displayed is for Platinum Steno. Thank you for all the likes. Okay, I think I'll continue the audiobook now.
I'd been struggling to hold it together, but this accusation was the thing that finally knocked me over the edge. I'd fortified the emotional dam as much as I could, but the cracks had grown well past the point of repair. The next thing I knew, the levee had broken, washing through me and provoking my body to spin away from my friends in a sobbing mess. I put some distance between myself and the group, snot running down my face as I hurried for the stairs and began my ascent. "Hey, come back!" Lance cried out. "He's just kidding!" But he wasn't kidding, and he wasn't wrong. I did have a crush on Agent Martin. After pleading with my mom to not send Richie home, I finally returned to my friends in the basement. Nobody mentioned my outburst. In fact, they barely looked over from the game of NBA Jam on the television before them. I tucked the final remnants of my outburst away, then walked over and flopped onto the couch. I've got next. To see and be seen. The stonework driveway is long and winding, snaking its way through a forest of overgrown palms and ferns that spring up on either side of us in the relative darkness. Upward-facing lights give portions of this tropical flora a luminous green glow, painting shadows across the canopy above as distant music rumbles through the night. This kind of lengthy walk to your destination is rare in the residential zones of a city where space is limited and real estate is impossibly pricey. Yet here we are. A rare few of these sprawling Laurel Canyon lots still extend in large swaths across the hillside, but most were divided up for the cash ages ago. The mansion looms before us. As we first catch sight of this structure through the tangled vines and trees, Zeke places his hand on my shoulder, stopping me in my tracks. I turn to face him, taking note of the way his features are framed by the stark, impressionistic lighting. Ezekiel Romero is handsome in a casual way, his hair long and his face constantly covered in stubble that never seems to grow or recede. His style is rugged and unplanned, and he can usually be found in a simple jean jacket graphic tee combo. Tonight's shirt depicts a faded Sailor Jerry anchor. Zeke is the first openly bi guy I've ever dated, which was slightly intimidating at first for reasons I didn't entirely understand. Eventually I realized it wasn't the bisexual part that held so much psychic weight over me. It was the openly bisexual part. Zeke has a peaceful confidence that's hard to find. He doesn't need to be anything to anyone, content to simply exist as this strong, warm, unadulterated version of himself. He's naturally, genuinely kind, which seems like a throwaway compliment until you've spent enough time in this city. "You sure you're up for this?" my boyfriend asks. Zeke isn't exactly fond of big parties, so I have no doubt he'd turn around and head home at the slightest complaint from me. I appreciate the gesture of care, but I think it's finally time to get out of the house and stretch my legs. It's been a little less than 2 weeks since Raymond Nelson died a few feet away from me, the man's blood literally staining my clothes and painting my face, and my mind has has finally started to settle. For a while, sleeping was difficult. Musings of my own eventual death, enjoying a top slot on my private anxiety leaderboard. But gradually, the dread has melted away, now simmering in the background of my thoughts instead of parading through the forefront. It's not completely gone, not by a long shot, but we're getting there. A night out to celebrate my friend's birthday seems like just the thing to shift my focus from the doom and gloom of mortality. I'll be okay, I assure Zeke. But let's not stick around too long. The driveway ends at a large loop with a fountain in the middle. Beyond this is an enormous mission-style home with a wraparound deck up top and expansive floor-to-ceiling windows in the front. It's been updated over the years, rendering many of the current features distinctly modern, but the old-school bones of this structure have held fast to create a specific historical feel. It has the vibe of a reasonably maintained haunted house belonging to a ghostly A-list actor. In reality, it's the reasonably maintained party house belonging to a living C-list director. A group of figures on the deck above us hoist their drinks as we approach, greeting Zeke and me with boisterous cheers and beckoning us onward to the entryway below. The second Zeke and I cross the threshold, we're met by a chaotic scene that's more reminiscent of a college frat party than a high-profile industry mixer. The mansion is packed, various social pods stationed in every part of the old Hollywood manor. There's an assembly of suited men on the landing who look like they just got off their entertainment law jobs in Century City, glancing down at us and then immediately turning away when they realize we have nothing to offer. In the living room to our right is an assortment of beautiful young partiers, dancing and spinning wildly under vaulted ceilings as a handful of older men, in what can only be described as steampunk attire, watch from their corner and sip colorful drinks. In the dining room, a woman in a long black robe is holding court, shouting about longevity to an animated group with streaks of brilliant neon color jutting through their hair. One of them is crying. As we pass through the foyer, a woman in a yellow bikini approaches us, exuding irritation. "Is this your house?" she demands. "Yep, I'm the birthday girl," I say dryly. Apparently not dry enough. The woman grabs my hand and starts pulling me along behind her, prompting Zeke to follow as we weave through the crowd. We're escorted into a kitchen crammed with folks in various stages of undress. One of the men wearing little more than an illuminated LED bunny helmet and cooking a steak as though he's performing a DJ set. We arrive in the backyard, finding ourselves atop a staircase that curves down through the ferns and emerges into a lush poolside grotto. From up here, I have a great perspective on the entire scene below. Swimmers treading in the water's undulating blue glow, shadows huddled around a fire pit and passing a blunt, a guy in the corner making various patterns with multicolored lights attached to his fingertips. Our bikini-clad guide points us toward the hot tub. This tiny partitioned section of the lagoon showcases a single man, his bald head tucked halfway under the water's surface so that his mouth is completely submerged. Around the tub, a handful of women are talking loudly with one another, just as annoyed as the one who came to get us. "What's the problem?" Zeke asks our new friend. "Can you get him to stop messing with the water?" the woman pleads. "He turned the heater off." It appears the guy in the hot tub has noticed our conversation and is now taking evasive action. He pops through the surface just enough to yell across the backyard with an exasperated explanation. "It's isolation tank temperature. It's a hot tub," the woman next to us screams, causing the man to simply shake his head and dip back below the water. I can't help the laughter that bubbles out of my throat, but directly following this joyful outburst trails something else. I can feel my heart flutter a bit, a concerning double thump that gives me pause. Anxiety comes and goes as it pleases. The vision of the accident punctures my mind's eye, a single unmoving frame of the aftermath that my brain decided was a perfect snapshot. Raymond's body was obliterated by the falling piano. but in the blended
Thank you for the hydrate imposter check.
pulp of his meat, fat, and bones, a few notable pieces remained. The man's lower jaw was right there, sitting in the mess.
What? Wait, what happened?
Anxiety comes and goes as it pleases. A vision of the accident punctures my mind's eye. A single, unmoving frame of the aftermath that my brain decided was a perfect snapshot. Raymond's body was obliterated by the falling piano, but in the blended pulp of his meat, fat, and bones, a few notable pieces remained.
This is he's thinking about it.
Was right there, sitting in the mess, tongue still attached but torn awkwardly to the side like some silly cartoon expression. His forearm and hand were visible too, highlighted in the sea of red by some strange yellowish liquid that slowly pooled across the pavement. The flashback happens so fast and with such blinding potency that I stagger a bit, catching myself on the nearby stucco wall. "We should go," Zeke announces, breaking through the haze. He's the sensible one in this relationship. The guy who always sees a few steps ahead and uses his steady hand to keep us on the rails. For someone like me, Zeke is a lifesaver. But that doesn't mean I always listen to him when those warning bells chime. Instinctively, I shake my head. "We've gotta say hi to Blossom, then we'll get out of here." Before my boyfriend can respond, I'm pushing back into the house, returning to the crowd. "Where's Blossom?" I shout. "Blossom Baker. Anyone actually know the person who lives here?" It's not until I reach the foyer that someone finally throws a little useful information my way. "Blossom's upstairs," the partier informs me, then hesitates. "Hey, are you Misha Byrne?" "It's entirely possible." "Whoa, cool," he replies, satisfied with this answer. Zeke and I make our way up the staircase, pushing through the Century City guys and their slicked-back hair to find ourselves on the upper landing. Here, the din of the party fades, overtaken by a strange, haunting drone that drifts through the darkness of a nearby hallway. On the second floor, most of the lights are off, cultivating a zone of slight unease. One of the few light sources is the pale glow from behind a door at the end of the hallway, the illumination dancing and moving in a strange repetitive loop. The door is half open, but we're too far away to see inside. "Blossom?" I call out. "Happy birthday!" There's no response, other than the long, sweeping tone that has since begun to shift and move, transforming into a heart-wrenching cinematic score. Along with the low rumble, an assortment of string instruments have joined the mix, and the resulting vibrations are nothing short of gorgeous. Zeke and I step closer, slowly making our way down the darkened hallway. If we were here for anyone else, I might just leave, but Blossom is too good a friend for that. Making a movie that goes sideways halfway through production creates a bond that's difficult to shake. I was doing rewrites until the bitter end, spending every day on set as the two of us struggled through budget cut after budget cut. Hard to believe it ended up being a massive hit. Zeke and I finally reach the door and push it open. The music is blasting now, rumbling through my bones with the full might of its intricate production. It's tragic and powerful and bittersweet in all the right ways, building to a crescendo that, even on the first listen, already has its emotional hooks deep inside my heart, ready to pull. A portable white screen sits near the far wall, raw documentary footage projecting across it. The clip features a young boy walking down a gravel road in black and white. He's smiling and cheerful, splashing through a puddle with his boots in the shade of a long cobblestone wall. Blossom sits at the center of the room, facing away from us in a swivel chair as she holds her arms wide open and sways from side to side. It looks like a state of prayer. Nearby, another figure is filming Blossom with a handheld digital camera. A watcher being watched. "Blossom," I shout, struggling to push my voice above the music. Blossom! My second attempt does the trick, finally causing my friend to turn in her seat. Blossom leaps up in surprise when she sees us. She throws her arms around me, pulling me close, and when she finally steps back, I can see she's crying. Are you okay? I yell, motioning to her tears. My friend is confused at first, then a sudden realization causes her to burst out in a fit of laughter. She quickly hurries over and turns off the speakers, plunging us into a state of relative silence. Oh my gods, I am so sorry. She sighs, still wiping away her tears as she extends her final word into a playfully long, almost musical expression. I'm just starting to go through all these archives. She's dressed in her usual attire, a long flowing dress with wide-hanging sleeves and bright yellow flowers embroidered around the edges. Her hair is wavy and golden, parted down the middle to frame a uniquely expressive face that's absolutely covered in freckles. She looks like an extra from a Woodstock docudrama. This is my boyfriend, I state, motioning to Zeke. Ezekiel, he says, going in for a handshake and getting a powerful hug instead. You've got an incredible presence, Blossom informs him. Has anyone read your aura before? I can see it just popping off of you right now. She steps back a bit and then waves her hand above Zeke's head. All green. Beautiful. How about me? I ask. Blossom shakes her head. You're not looking so good, my friend. Getting someone's lungs down the front of your shirt will do that to a guy, I retort. I heard about that. Horrible. Speaking of, I reply, gesturing to the man with a camera who's standing right next to us. Oh, this is Henry, my videographer, she explains. Henry, let's cut the tape for now. We do our introductions, and the man puts his camera away, heading into the other room to upload some footage. It's not long before the remaining three of us have settled in a circle, Zeke and I perched on a groovy vintage couch while Blossom returns to her swivel chair. Happy birthday, I say directly, now that we're settled. Quite the party downstairs. Who are all those people? Mostly burner friends, a couple of folks from TEDx, alternative thought podcasters, libertarian life extension coaches, a guitar player I met at Carnality Resort, a waiter from Laurel Hardware, she explains. You should have brought your girl Tara. She'd probably make some friends. Tara would hate everyone here, I assure her. Zeke leans forward a bit. Everyone seems real nice. He immediately adds, Thank you for having us. Blossom laughs, winking at Zeke and then flashing me a quick glance. Your boyfriend is very sweet. He's got good vibes, I confirm. I stand up from the couch and stroll across the room, getting a closer look at the old grainy footage that continues rolling past on Blossom's projector screen. I know exactly what she's up to, familiar with this process after our time working together. Blossom creates in a spiritual way, all vibe with very little structure, while I'm the polar opposite. I remember the first time I walked in on her blasting our film's placeholder soundtrack at full volume, dailies scrolling by while she lost herself in the music. Her whole process seemed meandering and unproductive to me, but the finished work speaks for itself. That's how we made Wedding Night. Everyone loves a good slasher film based around a holiday or important life event. Halloween, prom night, Black Christmas, My Bloody Valentine. You wouldn't think an elevated slasher taking place at a lesbian wedding could have so much heart, but Blossom squeezed every ounce of emotion she could from my text. What I wrote was clever enough, a queer twist on old genre tropes, but Blossom's handheld style and gritty realism put it over the top. No wonder she's making a documentary now. The wedding night reviews were terrible, but horror hounds loved it. What is this? I questioned, nodding at the projection. You're doing a doc? Sure am. I should probably be downstairs, but this thing's got me by the heart. I can't stop thinking about it. Hell of a soundtrack, I note. It's heavy, man, Blossom replies, then motions to a large stack of portable hard drives on her desk. All this footage I'm gathering is kids who grew up to be queer pioneers in their own way. Icons, you know? I nod along, eyes still glued to the screen before me. The child who once played in puddles next to a cobblestone wall is now petting a dog in a field. They all took their own lives, Blossom states. My breath catches ever so slightly, the weight of what she's hoping to express with this footage finally landing. It's not just about real queer suicide, though, she explains. It's also about the romanticization of gay trauma in media. It's dark stuff. Important stuff, though, Zeke adds. The three of us sit for a moment, watching the footage play in silence as these words settle. Throwing out observations of heavy or dark seems like such an absurd way to interact with these stories, our commentary falling flat no matter how valiantly we struggle to honor the lives lost. Words aren't enough, which is where art comes in, I suppose. But that's just as complicated in a different way. Blossom finally stands and shuts off the projector. She takes a deep breath, and in this moment, I can see her body language shift back into that of the groovy, free-spirited woman I know. The sadness slips away, her muscles relaxing and her limbs entering an easy, effortless flow. Blossom claps her hands together. Enough about that, she chirps, shifting the mood in an instant. I've got plenty of time to go through footage. We should get back downstairs. Blossom shuts off the lights, and the three of us head out, making our way down the darkened hallway toward the staircase and the party below. Our host's arrival is marked by a resounding applause, and while her eyes are still a little red, she's game enough to throw out her arms and give a celebratory twirl on the first landing. Thank you, Blossom cries, addressing the crowd while Zeke and I hang back and watch from the shadowy top of the staircase. It's so good to see all of you here, people from every part of my life coming together and manifesting some really incredible energy. I feel so loved. As Blossom continues, I pull Zeke close, suddenly overwhelmed with a surge of gratitude. Coming face to face with terrible things has a few surprising side effects. As a horror screenwriter, I should know. And one of those effects is granting perspective on what you have. I've been feeling wound up over my impending contract breach, the terrible accident I just witnessed, the feeling of an industry-wide death rattle droning over every palm tree and backyard swimming pool in Los Angeles as the line between artist and product blurs. But there are still a few things in my life that remain utterly steadfast. Zeke is one of them. My boyfriend stands behind me, his large arms around my body as he holds me close against his chest. I can feel his long dark hair brushing the side of my face, the warmth of his body creating a cozy nest of heat. The words of Blossom's speech are distant now, echoing from some faraway place as Zeke and I find ourselves completely alone in the moment. I turn my head back as far as I can, and Zeke leans around to meet my lips with his. We kiss deeply, eyes closed like this is some whimsical fairy tale. Who knows? Maybe it is. Hollywood can't help themselves when it comes to modern remakes. I open my eyes, but when I do, this poignant moment immediately shatters. In the black void of the upper landing, a pinpoint of red light has appeared, floating in the air. At first I assume it's the cherry of a sizzling crimson cigarette, but as my eyes adjust, I notice the shape of Blossom's videographer standing behind it, his camera pointed directly at us. Self-awareness slams into me like a punch to the gut, immediately causing my body to pull away from Zeke's. "Hey!" I shout, so loud and ferocious that I interrupt Blossom's speech and draw every eye to the top of the staircase. "What the fuck are you doing?" I march across the upper landing toward Henry, who has already retired his camera and is frantically backing away. Utter terror pumps through my veins, and I'm racked with the fear of a dozen potential futures as my mind jumps ahead to all the places this footage might end up. Blossom Baker is a well-known director, and her behind-the-scenes clips are certain to get views. They'll play here in Los Angeles, which is fine, but they'll also play back home in Montana. I'm sorry, Henry mumbles, struggling to get the words out. "I was filming the speech, and then I saw you two. I'm so sorry." Blossom is already scrambling up the stairs from below. "Hey," she cries. "Misha." "Delete the footage," I command, getting in the videographer's face as he backs against the wall. Okay, he stammers, hurrying to find the menu screen. A list of clips pops up, and the man deletes his most recent one. "And the trash." Henry was already headed there, and seconds later his camera's digital backup has been cleared. The tension in my body finally subsides as I let out a long breath. "Thank you," I say. Blossom and Zeke arrive behind me, but the dramatic scene has already come to an end. "We should go," I announce, mostly to myself. When I turn around, I find that a few of the partiers below have pulled out their phones to record, which is fine. All they'll capture is the tantrum of a wound-up screenwriter. Nothing more. I apologize to Blossom, and soon enough, Zeke and I are making our way down the stairs, through the foyer, and out onto the long driveway. We walk in silence, slipping back into the darkness from which we emerged, but glowing with completely different auras. I'm not sure what the various colors mean, but right now I imagine us as a deep, vacant black. Two hazy blobs of nothingness hanging over our heads like rain clouds. "I'm sorry," is all I can manage. Zeke sits with this for a moment, currently on his own inner journey. By the time we reach the road, he still hasn't spoken, but when we turn and start walking up the street toward my car, Zeke offers a single observation in return. "You sure didn't want anyone taking a video of us kissing," is all he says. The smoker. There! The smoker.
Okay. I think that's it for today. I was only hitting around 80 through the audiobook practice, but around 120 for the textbook. So I think that was good practice today. What am I gonna write? How about Alice Moonflower? She's playing Soul Blaze. I'll be back tomorrow for Digimon Story Time Stranger. I just need to cool down now. I'm sweating. Goodbye, everybody.